This one's too easy.
Okay. I think I was 6 years old, or maybe even younger. I saw my aunt, visiting my aunt and her family, and I saw her sitting on the couch with her baby, and she was nursing her baby. And I was thinking, as a 5-year-old at that time, or I think I was even 6-year-old, and I was thinking in my head, wow, that's really great. I'm going to be doing the same thing when I become a mother. I know that my dad told me he was breastfed until he was 7 years old, and because he remembered going through crossing the lake while they were going one place to another, living off the land, and he would call his mom saying, "Mom, Mama, Mama," and my grandmother would turn around and say, "You have to wait until we cross the river." I was very young when I started breastfeeding, and I didn't breastfeed. I only breastfed 4 months with my first child, and I went to, at that time, it wasn't formula, like infant formula that was introduced to the community. It was the canned milk, and you had to just dilute it with water for that. There's a lot of ear infections for children. I find that with the ones I breastfed longer, they would have less ear infections. And the ones that I breastfed just for a short time, they had more ear infections. Early 80s, or maybe before that, that's when the Native communities started to lose the breastfeeding. And they said that it was, and they started to notice the behaviors of children after that they were aggressive, and there's behaviors that were noticeable drastically, and they say that it's because they let go of the breastfeeding. My child comes first, and I will feed her wherever and whenever I like. So I would strongly suggest to other new mothers to do the same for their child.
I was breastfeeding until I was 4 years old, and I was getting so big that my mom said I just have to stop. I think it's better to breastfeed because the bottle just doesn't really help. Breastfeeding is better.
We are here at Niagara Falls Marineland, and as a marine biologist, I would love to talk to you about the importance that the connection that happens when mammals get breastfed. We're starting to discover that human beings are pretty much the same. The connection that the babies and the mothers make during the breastfeeding sessions are crucial for the development of the skills that these animals will have in their future life. Many of these cubs, like in the case of the whales, happen to be next to their mothers for 3, 4, or up to 5 years, developing a very close touching relationship where they hug, where they play, they breastfeed. All these bring invaluable elements of life skills for the future of the whale. There is a very important element in the relationship that happens as well, how the interaction between mother and baby when they are breastfeeding, we will say, we distinguish mammals from the rest of the other animals, is that element of touch. We need to be touched. We like to be touched. We like to hug, we like to play, we like to touch, we like to feel. So babies require that close contact with their mothers at that crucial time. To do that, it's promoting a very healthy life for your baby in years to come. You like the water? You like to jump in with the whales? As human beings, we are perhaps the only species of mammals that has tried to detach from certain practices that are crucial for the life of this group of living entities in this planet. It's very important to retake that practice to enhance the idea that breastfeeding is perhaps not only one of the most important tender moments in the life of every human being. Should be a right, should be the reason how every human being on this planet should be raised at the beginning.
You know, if we want to make changes to the societal norms, you have to start with children. And they're at their most vulnerable point when they play with toys. So things like dolls, if you try to buy a doll anywhere, you will find that it comes with a pacifier and a bottle to feed it with. So that imprinting that the normal way to feed babies is with a bottle starts when the child is a toddler. And that modeling that comes when children play is now, you know, the modeling is towards artificial feeding instead of towards the normal way, which is breastfeeding. It's not just a coincidence that this is how toys are marketed. And I'm sure that if we had enough time to delve into partnerships and see who owns what part of which company, that it wouldn't be hard to trace a lot of the marketing strategies back to, you know, the infant food industry knows how to market their product. They do it from the cradle to the grave. So, you know, whether it's infant formula, follow-on formulas when the infant doesn't need those starters anymore, to toddler formulas, to milkshakes for the growing children with added nutrients, right to the end of the spectrum where you have folk who are elderly and disabled and needing extra nutrition. The same companies make all of that stuff, and branding is so important because it follows you truly from the market, from the cradle to the grave, you know. So it just shows us how important that branding truly is and how it is so cemented in our brains, especially when we're so exposed to it through every media that we are in contact with every day. Teaching our children that breastfeeding is normal. Teaching teens that it's part of the reproductive process, it's part of healthy living, it's part of obesity prevention. If we could continue that norm into society so that everybody welcomes breastfeeding women, whether they're in the mall or using the public swimming pool, this would make the world a much more comfortable place for families to be able to breastfeed. It shouldn't be a mission for a family to want to go out for the afternoon. Breastfeeding is meals on heels, you know. Mums can take themselves and their children wherever they need to be without a lot of extra work if they're able to be supported to breastfeed for as long as they want to be breastfed for.
And I just want you to understand my commitment to breastfeeding because it's very important to me. And I don't see much of this
When they start advocating for themselves and they demand that their babies are kept with them and that they are enabled to give informed decisions about what their babies are fed, they take back their power. They're not our babies as healthcare workers. The baby is going home with the mother, and unless you intend to go home with her, she needs to be empowered to make her own decisions. And in order to make a decision for yourself and your family, you need all the information. It's quite sad when you hear parents exclaim that they had no idea that things like, you know, powdered formula may not be sterile. As a parent, how do you make the right decision if you only know half the story? You know, the most angry women are the ones who say to me, if I had only known then what I know now, if I had only been told, I would have made different decisions. But I thought they were equal. So we have to stop being afraid to give women all the information, the benefits of breastfeeding and the risks of not breastfeeding. Because without that information, we as healthcare providers need to feel guilty because you cannot hide the truth from parents. They need to make their own decisions based on all the information. the cheapest way to really get good primary health care for maternal and child health anyway is to adopt the baby-friendly initiative. Because in those 10 steps, you incorporate the whole continuum of care, from prenatal education, where parents are given the power to make informed decisions, to hospital practices that are evidence-based and ensure that women get off to a good start, into the community where women have easy access to the support that they need to continue breastfeeding as long as they have decided they're going to. In Canada, 90% of women initiate breastfeeding. So women want to do this, but they very often give up much sooner than they wanted to because of lack of support. And that's not just partner support or family support, but it's also the professional support that's not always available. I think that if that was the only wish I was allowed, that it would be that provincial and territorial governments would embrace the baby-friendly initiative, because that one initiative brings everything else together for us, and it's a global standard, and it puts Canada with the rest of the leaders in the healthcare world. Really and truly, that would be my sincere wish.
There's just been a lot of us talking, and I think a lot of people have been through the same thing. Everybody says, if I can just make it through the first month, I'll be happy. And then once the first month comes, okay, if I can make it through the first 3, and you make it to the 3 months. And after the 3 months, it seems to get a lot easier. And my little guy's 7 months now, and things are going so easy. It's so much easier at 3 in the morning to breastfeed than to go downstairs and get a bottle. That why would you stop now? Thank you.